Yeah, me know. This is Kia Bamba, so we run the whole of Switzerland and the whole of Europe, and we run the whole of etc, etc. You don't know, devil shaman says so, me I back them to the max. And it's like some idiot someone want to stop them from get a piece of the pie. Oh, I'm to no disrespect, could go and die. Yeah, me know. Kia Bamba, them up dubs, we play fast, I play slow, them up flows. Like nobody knows, them kill soul, no sound clash and dance all. And mash up stage shows, but some...
Welcome back. Only Friends on a Power Day here. A very special episode. We have a full panel today. Special guest being Snow royalty Layla, or Rayra Rose Ree, or Layla Lee. We've all known Layla a very long time. All worked together up at Falls. You know, Matty and I and Elyshia all at separate times worked as Layla's boss when she was managing the board lounge back in the day. And apart from that, we kind of saw Layla grow up in Falls Creek, saw her sneaking into the bars when she was underage.
Helping me sneak into the bars.
Grow into a beautiful woman. Isn't that lovely? So thanks for joining us, Layla. This episode is a real, as I said, special one that we really wanted to nail. It's basically revolving around mental health in the mountains. And, you know, we were trying to think about who we could bring on this episode. And Layla, we thought that, you know, you were the perfect human considering you've gone through a lot recently and a lot of changes in your life. And yeah, I firstly wanted to start off by saying the reason why we really wanted to do this episode is because myself personally and my wonderful partner have been going through a bit of a tough time with various things recently, and that's okay. But what it has done is it made it really hard for me to find the drive to, you know, get behind the camera here with, you know, more episodes and whatnot, because I've had so much else going on. That on top of 2 kids, life, changes, all the rest of it. Sometimes it's hard and it's okay to struggle and go through things. So, yeah, I guess on top of that, apart from Layla's journey, we really wanted to point out that, you know, a lot of people end up going to do ski seasons and in the mountains because really it's a bit of an escape from the real world and the challenges of, you know, a lot of the time city life or whatever may be going on, which is great. And it is a bubble up in the mountains a lot of the time where you've got a nice, neat crew, you're having the time of your life. But there is a reason why every ski season we talk about a thing called the mid-season blues, because it is a very intense environment. You are working together really hard. You're generally living with the people that you work with. Then you're going snowboarding and skiing with those people. You're partying with those people, and sometimes even having sexual relations with those people. And that is all very at the forefront, and everyone knows everything about everyone. And that is a real pressure cooker when you might already be, you know, trying to let go of reality. So I guess the main things we really wanted to talk about is highlight that and share some experiences, especially Matty, myself and Elyshia, as managers of humans who may have been, and Layla later on, of humans in that pressure cooker.
And ourselves.
And yeah, obviously ourselves as well. You know, as we talked about before, Elyshia and I have been through a whole bunch of, you know, seasons here and overseas, managing staff and then growing a family. And to say that there wasn't added pressures when you're, you know, trying to do everything and you throw a couple of kids, a foreign country and all the rest of it is...
And a shit ton of snow.
And a lot of snow to clear, that there isn't, you know, times when you go, what am I doing? So yeah, where should we start?
Well, I guess, like, yeah, you've kind of summarized it. We've been MIA because I think everybody can probably relate at the moment that I think the world in general has felt like, as a group consensus, whatever your situation, quite heavy, and it's been a lot. And like for us, it's sort of, yeah, our focus has been on surviving, not thriving, but not in a bad way. We've been channeling all of our energy into 2 little humans, but just getting through each day has been a lot. And I think you and I talking about it has made us reflect on the fact that this is so relevant to the snow, which is how we met. Obviously, this is how all of us know each other. It's a bit of a never never land where people kind of run away, and I still have memories of my mum saying, "It's like you live in a bubble." It's like, I do. I live in a bubble. I have no idea what's going on in the rest of the world. But it's a really good opportunity to stop and pause and be like, obviously, this podcast is focused on snow, and so this is I guess a gesture or something we can do to highlight it and talk about it and put light on it, but also just in general, anyone that's listening along about looking after yourself and not being ashamed of it. And the challenge also, I guess, on the flip side of that as well, is what people don't see about snow life. You know, your mates just disappear to the snow and look like they're having the absolute time of their life, but you don't, you know, it's like Instagram. You don't see the
Full
flip
picture.
side. So
Matty, you got anything to add to that with your words of wisdom, my friend?
No, I think, well said, well summarized. I think, hopefully this makes it into the ears of a handful of people who are potentially going up for their first season or maybe their second season, and who are about to experience, all of the things and all of the emotions and all of the good and bad of the stuff that we've, I guess, previously been through. But, I think the other part here is it's like, shining a light on those struggles that people can have in an environment or in a bubble environment like the snow, but also not letting that detract from how amazing a place it can be for people to go and have those experiences, and how important those experiences can be in defining people's lives. Like, look at pretty much all of us now, we still have snow as part of our lives, or at least part of our DNA and our heritage. So sort of caveat here, I guess, that it's not to detract from the incredible time and the incredible experience that you can have doing a season at the snow, but that it's not all, rainbows and unicorns, and there's some challenges there. And I think it's great to have Layla here as well to chat through that. So I don't know, maybe a good next stop is to sort of hear about from Layla where she's at and what those changes have been over the last few years.
Can I just say one thing though? I just want to say, Matty, that's a really, really good point. Is I think like the whole point of this is to highlight the fact that mental health is a critical topic, snow or not snow, but that the snow is amazing. Seasons are amazing. Anything you do is amazing. It's more about just continuing to remove the stigma of looking out for your mates, but also being vocal yourself. And like, if saying I'm not okay is okay, and you should be surrounded by people that are there if you're saying I'm not okay.
So I'll give you a bit of an introduction, Layla. If you don't know Layla Lee, you should.
It's a privilege if you do.
Famous.
She's daughter of Steve Lee, most famous Australian downhill skier, and daughter to Toddy Goldsmith. So, grew up as a bit of a daughter of celebrities in a way.
Host of Sex Life. We can cut that out. It's okay.
But, and as you said, we've known Layla for a really long time, but unfortunately a few years ago now, Layla's whole life got turned upside down when unexpectedly her extremely fit, healthy father had a stroke, and, was unfortunately found by another good mate of ours, Layla's cousin, Patty Dodd, who actually worked for us over in Japan as well. And everything kind of changed there for Layla. She obviously her life got turned upside down, where she eventually became carer for her father and had to give away, running a business in Japan with her dad as a guide. And, a lot of the other stuff that we've been talking about pales in comparison to what Layla's been through in recent years. So firstly, Layla, we want to thank you for being brave and coming on to chat to us about it. And share what you'd like to share from where you'd like to start. The floor is yours.
So I'll start from the beginning. Yeah, so 6 years. So it was 2020, September, Father's Day. Very dramatic. Yeah, Dad had a massively debilitating stroke and was airlifted from Falls Creek down to Melbourne, was told that he was definitely not going to survive the night. Then he survived the night and he's probably not going to survive the next few days. Obviously, he survived the next few days. So then they moved into Wangaratta Hospital. By the time he got to Wang, they'd pretty much said, he's never going to walk again. He's never going to get out of bed again. And, that was when the conversation started about what his future looked like and where we were going to take him and what was going to happen. And I was talking to the doctors and saying how I really wanted to bring him home. They're like, well, if you want to bring him home, you're going to have to get a tracking system from the bed to the bathroom because he's going to have to get hoisted up. Like he's not even going to be able to transfer into a wheelchair.
Layla,
Little did
how
we
old
know.
are you then?
How old was I? 27, really.
Just with perspective of thinking
Yeah.
like how critically your life changed, not only your dad's, but at such a, I think 27 is a very pivotal age. So I just thought,
Oh, no, I reckon I just turned 28 because I turned 28 in August. Yeah. So I would have
but
freshly 28.
very critical, I think, self-development chapter of life. So to be
Yeah.
faced
Yeah. I was kind of
with
just starting to figure it out. I thought.
Working out what you're actually going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then, that all got flipped on its head, obviously. And it's, it's strange to even have those conversations of like, what does my life look like if I take my dad on and what does my life look like if I didn't? For me, it was never a question, if I'm honest. I thought about having to put him into a home and how that would be for him, but also in a way, selfishly, how that would be for me. I don't want to drive an hour and a half to go visit my dad in a environment that he's not comfortable in and that he wouldn't be happy in and that I felt very strongly that he wouldn't be able to heal in. So I made my choice very clear from the beginning that if Dad wanted to come home, then I was very, very much willing and wanted to make that happen. I guess the other part was that Dad didn't own a house or a car. Classic ski bum. I owned a car, but I didn't own a house. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of shit I need to sort out to make this a reality.
But he had a house in Japan, though, where it mattered, right?
Yeah, exactly. And 2 cars over there. So, it all evens out. But yeah, so I pretty much had to get to work on buying a house, which was huge. We'd all lost our jobs through COVID. So I was the retail supervisor for Vale in Falls. That disappeared. I was managing a cafe in Bright just purely to make sure I had income coming in. Picked up a second job working in a restaurant in town. So I was working 6 days a week at the cafe, for 4 nights a week at the restaurant, sometimes 3. And then the rest of the time I spent at the hospital with Dad. So I was just banking all my money. I was very, very fortunate that the house I was renting at the time, I was able to buy, which was amazing because it's the home I'm in right now. It's all one level. The woman I bought it off was 98 when she went into the home, bless her. But there was all rails set up. Like it was, as much as it wasn't fully set up for a wheelchair, it was at least on the way to being set up. So yeah, got the house. Dad was in Wangaratta Hospital in the rehab area for 6 months and just proving everyone wrong every day, which was incredible. Like little did we know when the doctors were telling me that he'd need a hoist to get out of bed, he's sitting there being like, fuck that. Like, I'm going to walk out of here. Which
I'm going to hit the man D floor before you know it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a bit of a theme of his whole life, isn't it? Just forever trying to prove everyone wrong and be the ultimate.
And literally, like an Australian person winning a World Cup in downhill is obscene. Like, still no one's done it. And yeah, he went through that his entire life. He'd be training with the Austrian team. They're like, you'll never make it. Train with the Swiss team. You'll never make it. And he just did. He just pushed himself. And thank God that that's the kind of man that he already was. Because if he wasn't already like that, I don't think he would be anywhere near as amazing as he is today. He's walking with a cane. He's even started walking a little bit without it, which is super exciting. He does Pilates with Mimi, Wildflower Pilates in Mount Beauty, if anyone's in town.
Amazing.
Nice one, Mim.
Yeah, and like she's been incredible. Like he does neurophysio, like he does so many other things, but doing the Pilates has been really incredible. And yeah, he took a couple of steps without the cane again the other day. Did a little dance whilst doing it.
So good. Of course,
just
he did.
The freak.
Steve.
Of course he did.
Of course he did.
Of course he did.
Yeah, Layla, I just wanted to say that it definitely sent shockwaves through the whole industry in all of Australia because your dad was so fit, healthy, the life of the party, and such a legend. And everyone was talking about it when it first happened. And I remember the first time I saw him speak. We were having a fundraiser in Huckabee in Blizzard, and he came on the camera, and everyone was saying, he's not the best and blah, blah, blah. And I heard him talk and it brought a tear to my eye because you could see that he was still the same witty, funny bugger that he is. And from all the crap that I'd heard, to see Steve, you know, in front of the camera while there was this big fundraiser halfway across the world, just chatting shit and being Steve, it definitely brought a tear to my eye. And I was so stoked, especially for you and your family, that with everything that he'd been through, he was mentally as sharp as ever.
Yeah.
But yes, Phil and I had to add that.
No, I appreciate it. And also big thanks to Pat who put that fundraiser together. That was huge. And we felt very emotional, but a lot of love from the other side of the world having something like that happen for Dad. It was, really, really beautiful.
So
That's a good call out as well, that like it's not just mental health. Like your dad was sharp, fit, zero signs of anything like that happening, of being just aware of that these things can happen. There was no signs. It's not like he was unfit and unwell or anything like that. It was the polar opposite and just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's also such a gnarly thing to deal with, like even in the privacy of an unknown family. But when your dad is also like the stalwart of an entire industry and someone that everyone knows and everyone talks about, you're effectively living through it, you know, in the public eye as well. And as Ozzy said, like there's already people talking and people making assumptions, and there's so much chatter around it. To try and compartmentalize and manage it yourself, you know, with your family is so much more challenging. I mean, not that it's not challenging regardless of how that kind of, you know, or what your circumstances are, but under that pressure, must have been just so difficult to keep your eye on and your focus on what really mattered at that time.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. Like I'm very fortunate that Dad is who he is, because we got so much help because of the man that he is, and because so many people know him and love him. But yeah, it probably would have been a bit nicer going through it in private, to be honest. It was full on. Like a lot of people have a lot of opinions, friends, family, outsiders, everyone's trying to tell you what the right thing to do is. And it rattled me. Like it really, really rattled me. Like I think at the beginning, when it first sort of initially happened, I was just running on adrenaline, because I was like, I've got to get this house. I've got to be there for my dad. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Like I was just thinking all the things that I needed to do. And then I remember physically being in my backyard, like rocking back and forth as my house was going through, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get it or not. And then once that hurdle was crossed, I was like, okay, now what? Like now I've got to face the reality of like actually getting him home, and having a lot of people telling me that it was the wrong thing. Not only telling me that it was the wrong thing, but arguing against the fact that it actually shouldn't be happening. And that was really challenging.
I was going to ask you, Layla, is like you obviously, you know, being the age that you were, so many people were like, this is what you should do. This is what, like, did anyone?
Which I get. Like, I get it.
Did anyone stop and just say, like, where are you at? What do you need, or what do you want? Or was it more just like, this is what you need to do?
To be honest, apart from like obviously my beautiful mum, and I've got some incredible friends, but everyone was very much in the fear mindset of this is going to ruin her life. You know, she is young. She's got a whole life ahead of her. Taking on this kind of burden is going to change everything. And I understand where everyone was coming from, but it wasn't their decision to make. It was always mine. And luckily, I'm incredibly stubborn.
Do we get that?
Yeah, exactly. The one person that was really incredible was my dad's OT, Lisa, when he was in hospital and when he got out of hospital. She was incredible. She had also cared for her father, so she really, really understood where I was coming from. And her and I had a really beautiful conversation, and she was just like, look, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. But if this is what you want to do, then this is what you have to do. Because if you don't do it, you're going to be questioning yourself for the rest of your life, being like, would it have been better if I did? All of the things that go through your mind. Because she had been through something so similar, I was like, okay, I trusted her. Not that I didn't trust anyone else, but I trusted my gut as well. And my gut was saying, get him home, get him home, get him home.
Yeah, I guess if someone has experience in exactly what you are potentially going to deal with, that's probably a very good voice of reason.
And especially
Exactly.
everyone was likely just looking out for exactly as you said, like what does this mean for you? But I think for anyone that cares for a loved one, that's irrelevant. What does this mean to them?
It's so irrelevant. Like, and I also, in my mind at the time, I was like, yeah, like just turned 28. I was like, I could have gotten pregnant. you know, at that point in my life, my life could have changed massively in a different way, which would have meant work changes, home changes, general life changes. And just because I wasn't having a baby didn't mean that I wasn't ready to take on a caring role and that responsibility. And I think everyone sort of saw me as a kid all of a sudden. I'd always been treated as an adult pretty much up until that point, which was really confusing for me as well. And to be honest, I just completely shut down. You know, I got to the level of anxiety where I couldn't answer a phone call. I couldn't answer a text. I couldn't answer an email. Like I would physically, I would have my phone in my hand, watching it ringing. It could have been my best friend. It could have been my mum. Could have been anyone. And I just couldn't answer the phone because I just had so many people's opinions just like storm in my brain. What I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing. Is this right? Am I being selfish? Because that was another thing I was kind of told by some people as well, was like, it's not about you. This is about your dad. And I was like, I know that, but that's kind of why I'm doing it. So there was a really dark period there for a while after as I said, after the adrenaline kind of wore off and I'd gotten the house. I was like, oh my God, okay, now what? And I just went inward. I retreated, and I retreated in a way that potentially wasn't healthy, but it was the only coping strategy I knew. And that's how I've been since I was a kid. If stuff's going really awry, I just my mum calls me the cement mixer. I just really shut down. And in that time, I obviously managed to come out the other side of it, but it wasn't easy. Like it was a really, really scary time, because as much as I knew what I wanted to do, sometimes I would allow myself to believe that I was ruining my life. But in my gut and in my heart, I knew that I wasn't. I knew that this was going to be a challenge. Like anything in life is a challenge. Having kids is a huge challenge. Buying a business is a huge challenge. We all have these challenges through our life, and it's just the framework you put around them is the best way to get through them. So I just tried to look at it as the most positive thing. You know, how lucky am I? How fortunate am I that my dad and I have this relationship where I couldn't think of any other option apart from to bring him home and to care for him the way that I was cared for growing up, to make sure he still has a life and still has experiences and isn't just sitting in an old people's home, you know, in his late 50s where he's not ready to be, just disintegrating.
Yeah. So you said you put framework around coming out the other side. Can you share with us a little bit of what that framework was? Was it, you know, prioritizing your own exercise or meditation? Like, I know that kind of stuff sounds corny, but it all friggin' helps, right?
Massively. Like, to be honest, I've been meditating since I was a kid. Dad was taught how to meditate when he first started ski racing professionally in his early 20s. He taught my mum how to meditate. So meditation has been a massive part of our lives and for me growing up. At that point in my life, funnily enough, I couldn't.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'd sit there and it was worse. It would make it worse. And then that would spin me out. So I'm like, meditation's usually the thing that's always helped me. And it was doing the opposite. You know, it was just like having that quiet time just to myself was like, woo, just like not good, not fun, not helpful. So I had to kind of table meditation, which was hard for me in itself, because that felt almost like a bit of an identity loss as well. I just had to utilize other tools, which is exactly that. Exercise is a massive one. Like I ran a lot, which is just to get the anxiety down. I did a lot of Pilates. I ate really good food and really minimized like my drug and alcohol intake. I still smoked. Can I talk about weed on here?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I still think that things like marijuana have their place as long as they're used in a healthy way. Alcohol, I've really had a bit of an aversion to at the time because it would make me lose control of my emotions, which is not what I wanted to do. I needed to be in control of my emotions so I could filter through them correctly. So I didn't drink, which I've done periodically throughout my whole life. When things have been bad, that's the first thing to go. Weed helped in the sense that I didn't smoke every day, all day, nothing like that. But when I would have a joint, it would help kind of slow down my thought process.
Right.
So and that's the ADHD side of things, I guess, is but just slow myself down enough that I could really put things into containers and deal with one thing at a time rather than everything kind of coming down to me at once. EDMR therapy has been incredible as well.
What's
Eating.
that?
So it's amazing. So it can be done in different ways. So sometimes it's like a laser going back and forth in front of your eyes, or it's literally the therapist just doing this or tapping, but it basically puts your brain into a state of REM. So similar to sleep, and REM's like the kind of brain cleaning side of sleep. So it's bizarre. Something as simple as this, because when we're in REM sleep, our eyes go back and forth like that really quickly. So it mimics that. And it helps you sort of come full circle on issues that you could have been dealing with your whole life. Like it's been incredible. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. I think it's way more important than just talk therapy. This is obviously, it's an evolution of talk therapy, but incredible, like really, really incredible.
That's awesome. Well, I've never heard of it. Thank you.
Really.
I also, every day as a school dad, didn't realise that your eyes flicker back and forth while you're sleeping either.
It's like petrifying.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like,
That's super weird.
You're just focusing on the vocals, Matty.
I did want to say one thing I think is really important to expand on slightly. And as you said, you're cutting out drinking straight away. When I've had problems with alcohol and I've been going through tough times, one thing that always stuck with me is that when you drink alcohol, you go up on a curve and you feel great. But after you sober up, that curve goes right down and it takes a way longer time to get back to normal. And that's something that if you try and keep in your mind when you are going through a hard time, that it's definitely not going to help. And yeah, I'd agree. I've found the weed side of things is calming for ADHD brain to slow it down.
Well, as you said, Layla, the alcohol, like it's like a dopamine, serotonin seeking thing. Like it gives you that. But then the crash is
Feel
so
good.
much more brutal than like, neurotypical person. In saying that though, like I'm neurodivergent and the weed's no good for me. So it's all about understanding what's your, maybe it's something from the pharmacy as opposed to
and I did that as well.
But it's being aware that there's options out there and like exploring them to make sure it fits for you.
Yes, weed is not for everyone, but for some people, like
we're not promoting it.
Grew up smoking a heap of weed, and I always found that when I did, I'd be able to slow down my mind and like give clarity on thoughts on things, which when my mind was racing, I couldn't have that kind of clarity. So I fully understand where that.
No.
As Elyshia said, it's definitely not for her. She goes a bit loopy.
I get silent. Maybe that's a good thing and eat all the chocolate. And then I get rid of it.
My mum calls it the anxiety cave.
Yeah.
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 Like she's just like
at Pontra, like Oz would look over me and he's like, do you have no more words? And I'm like, and I'd like crawl up the stairs and then he'd bring me chocolate and then I'd be like, take it away. I'm unwell. I am unwell.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It is not for everyone.
I feel like we've seen you, Layla, have a relationship with alcohol since you were well and truly underage that has been stop and start.
Yeah.
Based on where you're at and how you're feeling. Because I can remember plenty of times where I've seen you and you haven't been drinking, and I can remember plenty of times where I've seen you and you've been litany beers. But I think like it's nice and probably fortunate that you, I guess, have had the self-realization of like what your relationship is with booze or with everything before you've had to encounter one of the hardest probably periods of your life.
I know, lucky I had a head start.
Like you started early,
or whatever it was,
Well, we're condoning that, but hey, silver linings and all that.
Silver linings.
And
but this is the thing.
Get a
it's
lot
like
of peer pressure as well, Layla, to drink, especially from like people like me and Matty when we're at events.
What's the snow?
Yeah.
Like,
Layla, what are you doing?
This is what we do.
Have a Jaeger.
Got to stay warm somehow.
And you did very well at that, going out and partying, but staying off the booze. So commend you on that.
So
one.
moral of the story is start drinking early, so in case you have a mental health crisis later in life, you know what your vices
You're well prepared.
are and aren't.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like I'm very fortunate that for whatever reason I am the kind of person that I can stop and start that. And I also very much recognize that not everyone has that ability. And that's a whole nother conversation. And that's like, that can be really heartbreaking, obviously. But I'm good like with everything, like I love a drunk ciggy, but I've never been like, I can never get off smoking or smoking weed. I'm not like, I've always had this thing where I've just never wanted to be reliant on anything,
But I think that's a good point about awareness of exactly as you just said. It's like you know within yourself whether you are or you're not. And if you know that you're the person where it's like, well, I'm going to turn to whatever XYZ in this time, and that's not a choice I'm actually making myself, then that in itself is something to reflect on and do some work on, because if you don't have that ability to say yes or no to it, then you're not in charge of how you're moving through something.
And
you need to be in control.
I think that's also when you are ADHD or whatever, alcohol is super calming when you're stressed out. You know, that first drink, it kind of relaxes you. And
And you feel it. You're like,
and as you were saying before, Layla, sometimes you do need to have a drink and let off steam with your mates and just.
I think that's so important too. Like having those nights out with good friends and getting stupid, you know, like, yeah, all things in moderation and whatever, but sometimes all things without moderation. Like we need to do that too. Like that is almost just as important as not drinking sometimes in a weird way. Like I'll like all the people in my life know that I'm not a drinker, but they also know that I'm a very good drinker when it comes down to it. I may not have the piss fitness that I once had, but I can still very much have a good time. And I make sure that, you know, a couple of times a year, I will go out and I'll have a huge night with my friends. And I come out the other side full of serotonin, just feeling so happy and loved and like I've had the best time ever. So I think as long as you're in control of the situation and it's safe and you're not doing yourself any disservices, alcohol's great as well. But it's just,
that's what I say, like communication in a safe space. So like,
yeah,
hey, this is what I need to do. I need to go have a blowout, and B, I am with people that I will look out for me as well as be with me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like that will, they know me and they know the signs and they know, like, I know I'm safe to just do this.
Yeah. And sometimes it means, you know, getting drunk and having a big cry. You know, and that's okay too. And sometimes it means getting drunk and just dancing all night and screaming and losing voice the next day. Like it can mean so many different things, but as long as you're controlling it and it's not controlling you, that's the only thing that matters. And I also wanted to go back to what we were talking about before quickly about, you know, like pharmaceuticals. They've got their place 100%. You know, they can be a really important stepping stone for people to reclaim their mental health. Sometimes for people, it's forever. For me, you know, as I said, I don't want to be reliant on anything. And I've had my time with antidepressants. I've had my time with ADHD medication, anxiety medication, pretty much all of it. I haven't been on any medication for 3 years. Yeah, about 3 years now. And those medications helped me get to the point where I could implement things into my life, which meant that I didn't need them anymore. And that, you know, that is exercise and eating the right foods for my body. You know, like personally, I think with ADHD and even depression to a point, I cut out pretty much all like sugar and carbs. So I eat a lot of protein and a lot of fat. And the carbs that I do have are usually like fruit and berries and stuff. If I'm craving carbs, I'll eat carbs. But I can tell the second I have like processed carbs, ADHD, just like like thoughts scattered, can't concentrate, can't get anything done. Like I feel that happen. I see it happen in real time. So I don't not allow myself to have it. I'm not like 100% strict on myself, but I know that for the majority, if I stick to protein and fat, it helps with my mental health hugely, like hugely.
Yeah, same. I've pretty much gone to a whole food, meat, eggs kind of diet.
We could do a whole nother episode on this.
It is though. It's a pretty interesting segue into like the whole idea of mental health when you're doing a season, right? Like when you're looking at how much you end up drinking, which is almost every night, just about. 2, what you eat, which is pretty, average, right? Yeah, and you're pretty much living off 2-minute noodles and pies and packets of chips, and and pizza, and you're just eating garbage, and then also. Yeah, and you probably don't, like for some people, I guess, I'm fortunate enough to have not had really any struggles in this space, but like I can see how it could be confusing on that roller coaster to also be able to differentiate when you are struggling versus when you're just like hungover, drunk, coming down, all those different experiences associated with just malnutrition and getting pissed all the time. It's like it does it does make it that much more challenging. And yes, you've got like a small bubble, which you're working, playing, skiing, everything with the same people, which gives you like heaps of support from a community perspective, but also no outside perspective. It's like, it is a really interesting world to be navigating, particularly like kids that are coming up at, 18, 19, 20 doing seasons. You kind of think you've got it all figured out, I guess, after school. But it's like, but it's like you throw all of those things into this one like tiny little melting pot. And it's an interesting thing for so many different personalities to try and have to navigate.
But then also it's like you're in this melting pot or this bubble and it's beautiful. you know, when you're in it,
the
it's like
best.
being at school camp with booze and drugs. Like you're having the best time of your life. But then when the bubble bursts or you're thrown back into the real world and all of a sudden you go from having your closest mates, and you could have met them a month ago, but when you spend every day with someone over a month, you create these bonds that a lot of people probably don't understand unless they've done seasons. You go from having your best friends around you all the time. You could go to the pub on your own and you know you're going to bump into a bunch of good mates. You know, every night there's something to do. You know, every day if you're not working, you're riding with your crew or you're hung over on the couch together, and that's fun in itself. Like it is this beautiful bubble. And then when you're back into the real world, that's when like, and it's happened to me and it's happened to most people that I care about, this kind of, post-season blues or like real depression can set in because the real world isn't like that. And to a point, I feel like it kind of should be because community is so important and having people around you is so important. But especially in the day and age we live on now, we live on our phones. A lot of people work from home. You just lose that and you lose it so quickly. And it's really like destabilizing. And I think if people aren't aware of what the backside of a season can look like, they can really go into the depths of it. Whereas if you've got the knowledge, and like I used to teach my staff this, like their first couple of seasons, I would explain to them what the end of the season could potentially look like. So at least they had an idea of if it started happening to them, what they were feeling and why they were feeling it. And just to recognize that it's like your world's not over. There's another season to go and do as well. But, you know, you need to reach out to your friends and you need to go spend time with your family and go and touch grass for a little second and like re-assimilate.
Get grounded.
Re-assimilate, so true.
We go from being like, it's almost like an oxymoron of like, there is no opportunity to be alone for the majority of people doing a season. You're sharing with up to likely 3 other people. So you were never alone. To, I guess, like FIFO people probably feel as well. It's like you come home and you're like, well, I'm living this life, but everyone else is living the Monday to Friday. I can't go out. It's Wednesday, kind of.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like we can do anything on any
Can't
day.
not go out. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, it's like we're like laundry is a necessity, not a planned, like we do that on Saturdays kind of thing. And it is, you're right. It's such a contrast because it's just like 1 week you're up there doing that, the next you're back and you're like,
Yeah, I guess that's the reason why I did 20 back-to-back winters.
Exactly. Just keep the party going. Which works as well to a point, but then
that was it.
We
after the winter, I'd just be focused on making sure that I could make money to
go back again.
overseas.
Exactly.
Because I've depleted most of the money and then I'd have a couple of months to have enough money for the flights and the rest of it. So that's kind of what kept me going until kids and family made it all and business made it all a little bit
complicated.
More complicated and harder to juggle everything. You know, it's hard to run a shop, be there with the staff, go out and party, not work on weekends because you got kids not at foreign daycare, and then try and find the time to go shredding and be with your family. Like I just felt like I needed to duplicate myself and felt like I just couldn't do it for everyone at that stage.
And things start to drop off. Like, I don't know if you were the same, Ozzy, but I found for myself the things that I started to drop off because I didn't have enough time for everything were probably the things that were most important, which was going skiing.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh, I don't have time. I've got paperwork to do, or the kids need this, or dad needs this, or whatever it is. You're like, all right, so I won't go for a ski today. But then because that was such an easy decision to make, and you're able to do more, you're like, oh, I won't go skiing next week. And then the things that keep you afloat are the things that you start dropping off.
Yeah. What am I doing?
Dangerous
I did it all to go skiing, and now I don't have time to go bloody skiing.
Dude, I went skiing 3 times last winter.
Oh dear.
And I guess like it's probably a good one for you, Layla, as well. I guess in light of where you're at with Steve, who's obviously thankfully doing so well. But like it's hard to look out for someone else if you're not looking out for yourself. You know, you're not looking after yourself, I guess.
And this is the thing. It's like the classic. Sorry, my dog needs me. Come here. Do you want to get up? Be part of the podcast? Mental health is so important. Yes, oh yes. I now forgot what I'm saying because my dog's so cute.
Like looking at like doing the things for yourself, like like you need to, like
you have to, and it's so easy to not. And I think a really important thing that my mum said to me in the early days of Dad's stroke, when she saw me like burning out, like I thought I knew burnout, I had never experienced burnout like that. And she was like, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself. Like if you're not okay, you cannot help him. Like if you can't get out of bed in the morning. How are you going to get him out of bed in the morning? And that was a big turning point for me. She probably said it to me 20 times, and it took 20 times for it to actually sink in. Because I think as well, when you're in the throes of anything in your life, people can help you and they can give you all this incredible advice, but sometimes it takes a bit of time to kind of permeate. And once I really, really allowed myself to take that advice on board, and also allowed myself to kind of let go of the guilt that I had with putting myself first, that was a massive step forward for me. Because that was a big thing that I don't know if enough people talk about, is like when you've got kids or you're caring for someone, there's this element of guilt when you do things that are just for yourself.
Yeah.
Because
Massive.
your whole identity has become about these children, or, for me, it's my dad, and all of your support and all of your care and all of your love and everything is going into this human, and you've got nothing left for yourself.
Yep.
And I went through that. That was probably one of the hardest things for me, was coming out the other side of that. And also, like in my situation, like, my dad wants me to do stuff. He wants me to do stuff without him, to go traveling and go skiing and hang out with my friends and do things without him. Like, he knows that I need it and he sees that I need it. But it still took me so long to be able to allow myself to do it.
Yeah, can relate. Like, me going to the gym in the morning, sometimes I'm guilty because kids are going to school and I've only got a couple of hours with them where they drive me crazy anyway. But I wouldn't do it because I was like, I don't have time. Or I'd play soccer on a Tuesday night at 6:15, but then I wouldn't go when I was working till 5 because I had too much guilt about not spending that 2 hours that I got with the kids. So, I felt that when my mental health has been struggling, all of my effort went into looking after the kids and being completely present, or giving them as much energy as I possibly could to the decline of myself, until I had to snap out of it and start prioritizing me so I'd have even more energy for them. And
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I learned that going to Pilates at 6 a.m. is my jam. I don't want to wake up at 5:30. No one wants to wake up at
No.
5:30. Don't lie to me. You don't want to wake up at 5:30. But like, for me, it's just like that alarm where there's no time to think. There's no time to check emails or look at anything digital. It's just get dressed, get in the car, get there before they shut the doors. 45 minutes to myself with my brain, good or bad, not sure. But then get in the car, drive home, and the absolute change in the patience and energy that I have with the kids, as opposed, because it's on my terms. I've gone and done something and I am like, I'm good. I'm zen. Well, as zen as Alicia's ever going to get. But I'm like, good, let's make lunch. Let's get dressed. Let's ask you to put your shoes on 400 times. But I can do that.
But you can ask them 400 times.
Yeah, instead of being asked for toast 400 times before I've even woken up, and then the day starts off differently. And it's really hard to kind of justify that, because you kind of think, well, I'm going and doing something. But then you're also showing, like, as you said, in your situation, your dad wants those things for you. But for us, like for those with kids, it's like you're showing like this is a priority. You need to do these things and not feel bad about it, because it makes you a better person for the day ahead. And whatever it is, it might work at night for you or in the morning, whatever it may be. But you've got to have that little pocket for you that gives you to give to others.
And for me personally, like, going to the gym's great, but if I go for a surf, and even if I barely catch a wave and I've sat in the ocean for 45 minutes, I'm going to come back so much happier, or skiing as well, than if I went to the gym. So, it's great that you exercise, but also, try and do fun shit, because I think that makes such a difference as well, whether it's mountain biking,
Hugely.
skiing, surfing.
Yeah. And sports like that, like going back to the meditation thing, like skiing, surfing, anything, that's just active meditation. Because as you're doing it, you are 100% present in what you're doing. You can't be thinking about everything else that's going on in your life, because you're like, all right, I'm going to hit that jump, or I've got to make this turn, or I've got to paddle for this wave, or whatever it is. Like, you're focused on one thing, and that's all meditation is just focusing on one thing, whether that's breath or whatever it is for the individual. But gym is one thing, but as good as I feel going to the gym, sometimes I can get a bit spirally still, like, because, it gives you freedom to think about everything that's going on. I'll always be typing notes into my phone or replying to an email in between sets, which is silly. So I agree. I think like surfing, skiing, like any kind of, especially like an adrenaline sport where you kind of heart's pumping, you've got different chemicals floating through your body and your brain, you're like this is fun, this is exciting, and you're completely distracted from everything else.
Yeah.
Until you're standing in the side country ready to just hit this beautiful drop. And what enters your brain? Elsa. And you're like, you have invaded my safe space.
Dude, even without
Frozen
having kids,
and
just from nannying, I've got Let It Snow in my head constantly.
And you're like, no, not now.
That's so funny.
That reminds me of Hayden Stewart. He had a period where he stopped surfing because every time he went surfing,
It was, I remember this story from like
Kiss from a Rose.
Kiss from a Seal. It'd be like, every time he got in the water, it'd be like, Kiss from a Rose. And he's like, I can't do it now.
There's worse
I
songs.
can't surf without hearing Seal.
That's
Too
wicked.
good.
Yeah. But it is, it's
So,
like
Layla,
we've all got to, sorry, you
How
go.
are we
How-
now?
yeah.
So you said, no help from, like medication and stuff for the last 3 years. Your dad's obviously, a freak and done way better than anyone anticipated.
I mean, flashback to our October last year, having Steve on the couch, just
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
entertaining as ever.
Spitting.
Just riffing so hard with pretty much everyone in the room in tears. So
Yeah.
he's still got it. That's for sure, which I'm
Yeah,
sure
he's
helps
very much
helps
still
you
Steve.
through each day as well.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's like going back to what we said before. A lot of people had a lot of ideas of how he was. I'm still dealing with. Every now and then I get a text and someone's like, "Oh, I ran into so and so and they told me that Steve's really depressed." And I'm just like, "No." I'm like, he's as depressed as what he should be, considering the massive life shift that he's been through. Like, I'm not going to pretend it's all butterflies and rainbows because it's not.
Doing the
That's-
best
wouldn't
with the
be the
cards
truth.
he's being dealt, I think, is a good
100%.
way.
100%. But if you want to talk about positivity, my dad is the goddamn shaman. Like, he still gets out of bed. He still gets his physio done, his Pilates done, his whatever. He goes to the pub with mates. He goes out for brekkie. He's in the world, not as much as he'd want to be, but he's still doing it.
I think you said a really
And-
poignant thing before, Layla, how you were like, I had to come to terms with the dad not being the man he used to be or whatever, and learn who dad is going to be moving forward. And it's like the beautiful thing here is I feel like he's the same dude. Like physically, he's can't do the same things, but the rest of him, the way he thinks, the way he talks, the way he treats people, everything's still there.
The only mental thing, because he obviously has a fair amount of brain damage and his long-term memories are all still there and his short-term memory is so much better, so much better. Every now and then, there's days where I'm like, I feel like he's slipped a little bit and my test is usually like, I'll ask him how old I am. And if this happened like a couple of months ago and I was like, how old am I? And he looked at me and he was like, 21. And I was like, perfect. No notes.
You know what? I'll let this one go.
It's great. Yeah. You're actually a genius.
No notes.
Yeah.
Tick.
But there's little things like that where, he still kind of thinks he's in his 40s and, thinks that I'm a lot younger than I am, which I'll take. But apart from that, he's still himself. Like
Yeah,
him
he has
as a
to be that
person,
dad.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we all do. And he's so justified and he still manages to push through them. And also just like the interference from other people, like him and I have just had so many conversations where we're just like, right, this is about you and I and being open and honest with each other. Like even when he does therapy fortnightly and the therapist, she wants me to come in as often as I can because I'm really good at extracting things out of him to get him to start talking because at the end of the day, he's still a man. But even that, we managed to have a good time in therapy together and, we just went on a 2-month trip together. And as full on as that was,
Which
the
looked
best.
epic.
Yes. We had the best time and we had Molly, amazing support worker with us. So we were 2.5 weeks in Japan, back to Hakuba, which was massive. Seeing Dad with all of his mates was the feels were insane.
Great to follow
went-
on the socials.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, saw the lodge and just did all that stuff and he got to see me go for a ski and, that obviously for him is the epitome. And then, went to the Philippines and we were going to stay for 2 weeks. We ended up staying for a month and we're still
Nice.
just
And
doing
Sick.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, and he just like, we'll go to a restaurant in the middle of another country and I'll be like, all right, Dad, I need to go to the toilet. You're good there for a second. Yeah, yeah. And I come back and he's made friends with like 5 people. And I'm like, of course.
Of course he has.
A couple margaritas on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, like he is. He's still so much himself and he's still so capable in so many ways. But it's, it's still an adjustment. Like, like I run the backcountry tours in Falls Creek now. And even the other day I'm sitting on the couch and like, trying to figure out something on the website, fix something. And he's like, oh, like, is there anything I can do? Like, do you want me to answer emails or can I do anything? And like, he wants to be the person that he was. Like, if I put a laptop in front of him and he tried to do emails, it probably wouldn't get very far, which is fine. Like, I can, to be fair, pre-stroke, pretty much the same, if we're honest. But like, I'm like, no, it's like, I'm like, Dad, I'm happy. I can run all this stuff. I just need you to concentrate on you and you getting better and you walking and you like, he wants to start commentating again. So I'm like, let's do that. Let's concentrate on that.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, we're just trying to set goals to keep him moving forward and giving him things to work towards. Like he really wants to go to Europe. His grandpa was from Malta. So he wants to go to Malta. And I'm like, all right, if we're going to Europe, I want you to be able to walk a comfortable K, so that's
till
what
Friday.
I said.
Come join me. Come Friday.
Yes, let's go. Perfect timing. But yeah, like those little things. So it's like, because I've given him that, I guess that guideline being like, all right, you need to be able to walk a K before we go to Europe. So now, he's
got a goal.
He's walking. He's got a goal. And we all need goals. Like we all need goals. We all need a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I think that's important no matter who we are or what we're going through. If you don't have that, then what's the point of anything?
Very well said, Layla.
Totally.
What's been the hardest part about becoming a carer?
The hardest part is losing people. That, it's a sad reality, a reality I didn't expect. I guess I'd been sort of coached through it for Dad, like OTs and doctors and nurses, like they talk to you and they're like, when someone has a stroke or someone's going through cancer, something detrimental happens to a person, everyone comes in and then they start to drop away. So I was very much coached through that as what it would look like for Dad. I didn't expect it to then happen to me. And that was really hard. And I've got to put the onus back on myself as well. Like I'm not good at reaching out, but I'd hit a point where I couldn't reach out and I didn't have the right people in my close proximity to kind of notice that and be like, all right, we need to come in or we need to ask her what she needs. I think that's a really difficult thing for people when they're struggling, is having the confidence to ask for help. Cause like, I've built up the confidence, asked for help and then been rejected. And that sends you so far backwards. And yeah, I've lost family, I've lost friends, partners, anything you can name. It's kind of happened. And that was one of the most painful things I've ever been through. And it's not like these people that I've lost, I'm not saying it's their fault. I think for a lot of people, when they see someone going through something so massive and something that's potentially so dark, they sort of retreat because they don't know how to be there for that person. And maybe it's like they think, if I try and I do it wrong, I'm going to make it worse. So maybe it's best if I just step back, or maybe it's best if I step back and wait for her to ask for help, or, all these things going through other people's heads as well. I think for me, I've always been such like a tactile person, and like, I've got like DM with me written on my head every night at a party. I've always got someone. We're always like in the thick of some conversation. I've always been like that. So I think it didn't make sense to me why I had these people sort of pulling away, and, why I stopped getting invited to stuff, and why I was being so isolated. And obviously like part of it was to do with me, because I couldn't say yes to everything. I couldn't go to every party because I've got a human in my house that needs me all the time. But then when you stop getting invited, then you're like, all right, now that my life is sort of settled, how do I then crawl back in? Like, how do I find these people again? And then also just like with those mental health struggles and losing your own identity, I found myself being a pain in the ass. Sometimes I would be invited and I'd fuck it up. I'd like, if I don't feel comfortable with the people that I'm around, I act like a weirdo. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Like, I'd hear something come out of my mouth and I'm like, oh, bro, what are we doing here? Like, get it together. So then like kind of rebuilding from that was tough, because it was almost like a blank slate, not fully blank slate. I have my bestest, closest friends, but there are a lot of people that I thought were my bestest, closest friends, and they weren't, and they aren't now, and that's okay. We can still be friends, but I just know when I'm in need, they're not the go-to, and that's completely fine. That's a lesson that we all learn in our own different ways. But that was like torture, to be honest. Like, isolation for humans is not
No, we need
It's not
connection.
good. Yeah, desperately need connection. So
I
that
think
was, I would say, the hardest part.
it's a great reminder
Huge.
of just even if you don't know what to do or what to say, which we don't all, and especially if you're doing your first season and things like that. But it's just it can just be like a spontaneous text of love you,
Yeah,
thinking of
dude.
you, like
Yeah.
Check in on
just
your
that
mates.
like continual
Yeah.
like I think we all like your situation is so obviously concentrated, but in life, like we get so separated from one another, and it can just be like, I'm thinking of you today, and that's
Yeah.
enough to be like,
And that is,
maybe give you that confidence to go, thank you. You know what? I need help, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
yeah, because sometimes the door needs to be opened for the person struggling to walk through it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you feel like you're knocking on a door and no one's answering. And it's really, really tough. And yeah, I think exactly what you said, Leash, like just sending a text to someone, just being like, hey, I'm thinking of you. Or a reel, like, something so simple. Like, and I know for everyone it's different. Like for me, it's like I would have appreciated someone just sitting in bed watching a movie with me. I didn't even need, there was points where I couldn't even speak. I was so anxious. And I didn't need them to like crack me open and get me talking. I literally just needed like almost just someone to like be in bed, watch a movie, hold my hand. We could be in silence, but at least I would have company.
Yeah.
Like I would have felt a connection to someone, and it looks so different for everyone. And I think for people, if they're ever scared about reaching out to a friend or to a person or a family member that they think is struggling and not knowing what to say or not knowing what to do, you're never going to say the wrong thing. I think it's just like, hey, I'm here, or hey, I'm thinking of you, or do you want to get a coffee? Can I bring you over a coffee? Like
Something's better than
anything is
nothing,
better than
right?
something's better than nothing.
Yeah,
Anything
doesn't have to
is
be
better than
perfectly curated. You don't
silence.
have to know all the answers. You don't have to say the perfect right thing to change the whole
Just listen.
circumstance. It's just something.
Check in and listen.
I don't know how to
Yeah.
help, but I'm here and I can listen.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. And even saying that, I don't know how to help. Like it's beautiful in its honesty and its simplicity. Because like a lot of the time when all of us are going through hard stuff, we actually don't know what we need that is going to help anyway. So it's like, we don't have this expectation of like, I need this person to do X, Y, and Z. It's just like, I need something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
I think
anything.
Layla, just to touch on that as well, I think, when you're going through something difficult like what you're going through, from my perspective, I wanted to like check in every now and then, but I was kind of worried that people were hassling you a lot. So I didn't want to be like one of those, I didn't want to pester you. So it
Yeah.
wasn't really until we caught up at Mac's 40th last year where, as he said, we got into party DM mode. And I will say that talking to you then for the first time, really DM style, since all this went down, is it's really obvious to see how much you've grown and evolved in an amazing way due to all this experience. And I think that that's a massive gold medal on you for resilience and showing, as you said, you're always seen as a bit of an adult when you were younger because you're always around a lot of older people, to then, as you said, being treated like a child. When I caught up with you again, I was sitting there talking to you and I was like, fuck, Layla has really grown up. And
You'd
obviously,
hope so.
yeah,
It's just
obviously the
not by
situation,
choice. It's just
obviously
forced
the-
into it.
obviously the situation you've been through, you didn't have a choice, but I just wanted to commend you on the amazing, well-rounded human being that you have grown up to be, and you should pat yourself on the back.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
It's all right, mate. Well, look, I think we
appreciate it a lot.
could,
We'll probably do more episodes from here.
yeah, I think
It's
Yeah.
with this, I think this could be
a series.
Well, did we say the same thing when we had Steve on? We were like, gee, we're going to have to get you back on pretty soon. So maybe the next step might be to have them both on at the same time. That could be pretty
Ooh.
epic.
Maybe we can
Yeah.
have like we're all on the red sofa here, and like next time we talk to you. Yeah.
maybe trade show.
Yes, I will come this year. God.
But I just wanted to say, as a bit of a closing thing, as pointed out, check in on your mates, ask them if they're okay, and listen, most importantly. If something doesn't seem right, or they might be going through a bit of a mid-season blue or a post-season blues, just be there for your mates. And anyone who might be struggling, especially if you're a boss or a mentor or whatever, Yeah.
Well, I think that text message kind of thing still applies in any situation. It's like just thinking of you, that could be enough. Like it's a door opener to.
It's a door opener. And also, I did want to add to that because I got an influx of people who care so much about me. All of you guys messaged me, and I was in that shutdown moment.
Yeah.
You know, like so I couldn't reply. So it's like send the message. Don't expect anything
Don't
in
use-
return.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
every now and then I get a message from someone and I'm like, the message above is from 2020 when it all happened, and they're like, sent me the most beautiful message and I haven't even clocked it, and I'm like, oh my God, so sorry. But having people thinking of you like on an energetic level, if we want to get into the woo-woo, you can feel it. Like you can feel the love. So even if you don't get a response, just doing it is really important, even if it takes them 4 years to get back to you, like me. But, you know, just do it. Like, you know,
I
we're
think
all
that's the key,
human and we
like-
all need each other.
No expectations is like those things. Those if you really are thinking of someone, it's like there's nothing needed back. It's just
Yeah.
I'm letting you know that you're
In my
here
thoughts.
and I'm
Yeah.
here if you need me. Yeah.
Anything to add, Mr. Articulate Myhill?
No. I think this has been awesome. I think I'd just love to have a chat with Layla and Steve on the couch together again, because I think that'd be
Oh, it would be
super
great.
fun. But yeah, echo the sentiments on how cool it's been to watch. And I mean in a positive way, like cool to watch Layla's journey with Steve, because I think we all love the both of you, but to watch how that's kind of panned out and watch the way you've looked after him and the way your relationships blossomed and the way that Steve is sort of still the guy that he always was. I think it's really cool, and I think as well how that echoes up into those kids doing seasons or whatever, as you say, Ozzy, just checking on your mates, and it might be someone that's only been your mates for 3 or 4 weeks, but if they're turning up weird at work one day, or you're on the lift and they're not talking to you or something, like, there's no amount of time that your friendship needs to exist for before you can check in on someone. So yeah, keep that in mind, and yeah, take care of each other, I guess.
Yeah, do the little things that help you to stay in a good headspace, as we said, whether
Yeah.
it's smoking a little bit of weed or going for a ski or doing some Pilates. Yeah, look after yourselves and stay frothy. Thanks, team.
Pleasure, guys.
Perfect. Love you guys. Thanks for having me.
Big love, team. Ciao.
Kia Bamba, them have dubs, we play fast, I play slow, them have flows, like nobody knows, them kill sound, a sound clash and dance all, and mash up stage shows, but some guys I recognize, I realize, so them have them own style, a long time them they are now, them not just come, and it's been a long while, them want a piece of the pie, whole heap of dubplate and tune off a buy, food fi feed them family, that's no lie, any idiot little sound try fi test them I go die, them not give up. Look how long them a wait. A full time now, they get a slice of the cake. No sound fix because them bust through the gate. Through them play a good tune, and this a sound the paper rate. Them we mash you up. All over the UK, America, and JA.